Hey guys, Veebat here with another V-Plays. Taking a look at the A-26B Invader bomber. In World of Warplanes, this is a bomber aircraft, but in historical accuracy, we're looking at an aircraft that was known as a light bomber and ground attack aircraft, thus the A designation on the airframe. Later, the American Air Force decided that they were going to change the designation to a B-26 Invader, but there was already a B-26 aircraft in the inventory, which only caused mass confusion. So, good job, United States Army Air Corps. You definitely screwed the pooch on that one. But bottom line is the A-26 is indeed an attack aircraft as well as a light bomber. So being that Wargaming doesn't have a category for this type of airframe, they have opted to make it a bomber. Well, what made it an attack aircraft? Well, it is the fact that this aircraft sported a very impressive forward gun armament. Now, in practice, most of the time it had 650 cal machine guns, which you're seeing being used here in the nose, but it also had the capability of upping that to 8 50 cal machine guns, and there was also some of the test phases had 20 millimeter cannons in the nose, as well as one experimental version had as much as a 37 and a 70 millimeter howitzer mounted in the front of the aircraft. Thus, a lot of crews called it the universal nose, allowing the aircraft to be able to have a multitude of different forward gun armament. But traditionally, like I said, mostly 50 cals. There was also an option to put in gun pods underneath the wings that would carry another 8 50 cal machine guns, or just having some guns mounted on the wings themselves for another 6. So this thing definitely had a lot of guns available to it, and I'd be interested to see if there's ever an American light bomber line that allows you to be able to take advantage of that. Now what you're seeing here is a very impressive set of tail gun armament on this aircraft. Now normally I don't like to rely heavily on my tail gunners. I think that they're there to be able to add some defensive characteristics with defensive fire to reduce incoming damage. But with this particular airframe, those are dual 50 cal machine guns pumping out 128 damage per second at a pretty decent range and a very wide firing arc, as well as very high gun depression and elevation angles. So this works very well at being able to intercept aircraft, and then as you pass, letting the tail gunners do their work on the target. Now, the air-to-ground loadout is not anything to write home about. It carries a total of 16 bombs dropped in 4 volleys, so that's going to be 4 bombs per volley, and they're only 100-pound bombs, so they're very lackluster in overall damage output. But as you saw here, given the opportunity to shoot down an aircraft, I was able to help flip this zone pretty easily. I managed to take out 2 players, and then I was able to come in and finish off my ground attack run. A lot of people don't actually expect this to happen, to have a bomber aircraft on your radar coming up on your tail and then engaging you with forward firing guns, and just look at the amount of hate that's able to be unloaded onto this airframe. Compare this to most other Tier 6 aircraft. How many aircraft are sporting 650 cal machine guns? A P-51 Mustang? And that's pretty much about the extent of it. You're not seeing too many aircraft that can really pump out this type of damage. I mean, sure, there is the Thunderbolt as well that carries 850 cal machine guns, but you're talking about a fighter aircraft. To have a comparable damage output to the American light fighter at Tier 6 in a bomber aircraft is unprecedented, and another reason why I use the term bomber very loosely. Now, this aircraft does have a very deep-rooted history with the Air Force. This thing flew for quite a long time and was actually used as an armed reconnaissance aircraft all the way up into the Korean War era, and it is just an absolutely fantastic looking plane. It's very traditional World War II style bomber aircraft, and it actually had an interesting cockpit layout similar to what we see with the British concept, with only a single pilot, and then there was a navigator slash bombardier that sat almost in a kicker seat off to the right hand side of the pilot himself. The pilot also managed the forward firing guns, and then there was a rear gun operator that, interestingly enough, didn't have access to the front of the aircraft while there were still bombs in the bomb bay. The bomb bay actually obstructed his ability to pass through due to the fact that there would be bombs in the way. So it was actually a very cramped aircraft, and they really maximized and utilized the space effectively in it. So this is one of the things I was talking about. You saw how far those turrets were able to swing from left to right, and it is very substantial and allows it to really be able to get those guns on target. You can see here we're almost firing 90 degrees off the side of the aircraft, and in fact almost a little bit in front of the airframe, so we can use this as a mobile gun platform, which again, I don't advocate doing this in most bomber aircraft or ground attack aircraft, but in this particular airframe, it just does really well at being able to operate in that capacity. And I'd be interested to see if American bombers do make their way into the game, or an American pseudo attack aircraft line, which I think could easily be implemented with a multitude of aircraft that are like the A-26. But you could probably operate this thing as very much a flying gun platform. It's almost like the World War II version of the AC-130 gunship, being able to just rotate around a target, letting the guns fire off the side and really be able to put out quite a bit of damage. Now this is a relatively short match. We maintained air superiority for quite a bit of it, so let's go and take a look at the aircraft and the post-game stats and see how she performed. Being a premium aircraft, this relatively iconic airframe is able to rack in quite a bit of credits, as well as a great amount of experience for your crew. Now, albeit having a tail gunner for an American aircraft is a little bit useless when you take a look at the overall tech tree, and the only aircraft that actually get a tail gunner in this line are going to be the premium 2PA, and the premium A-26B, and the premium XP-858. So there's no other aircraft, at least not that I'm seeing at a glance here, that actually has a tail gunner available for it. So as a result, it's kind of useless in that sense that there's even an option to train a tail gunner, unless there is promise that in the future there may be an American bomber pseudo ground attacker line. That would be absolutely awesome. But guys, the A-26B Invader is a very iconic aircraft. It was used for a multitude of different purposes. It was very famous in special forces units for being a armed reconnaissance platform, and it's just overall a really nice looking aircraft, and it's a little bit of a departure from a traditional bomber in the sense that this thing has forward firing guns, and the A designation on this aircraft should already indicate that it is an attack aircraft. It is not a bomber. So it's kind of like a weird mix of a ground attacker and a bomber, and the ability to be able to intercept other aircraft is very much going to be part of its role here, as you saw in that battle. Taking another quick review of the results screen here, you can see that I managed to take out 5 aircraft. And I could have done more with ground targets, but killing the aircraft was able to flip the zone and maintain the zone. And the tail gunner on this aircraft is absolutely fantastic. With 2 sets of 50 caliber machine guns, you are looking at a very serious amount of damage output here. You're looking at 128 damage a second. I have boosted the range with the turret with a stabilization modification on here, turret stabilization 2, in order to get even more range out of it, because I like using these tail gunners, and I use the term tail gunner loosely as well because the field of fire is 100 degrees. So to give you an idea of what that means, gun elevation of 60 degrees from the horizontal plane, so 60 degrees up, 60 degrees down, and then 100 degrees to the left and 100 degrees to the right. Now, if you are looking at the 360 degree circle from a top-down view and you're wondering, hey, but wouldn't that be 90 degrees? 100 would mean that he's almost looking forward. Well, you saw in a couple of examples when I was firing that tail gunner that I was able to get the gun in front of the wing and was able to maintain those guns on target. So you can actually circle somebody and maintain guns on the enemy. Now, there is a little bit of a discrepancy historically. There is a picture of one of these aircraft at my job. And this top turret gun is face forward in that photo. So I have all reason to believe that this gun does have the ability to traverse 365 degrees, which means it can fire forward, which would mean you theoretically have 8 50 cal machine guns facing forward at any given time. But maybe it's too hard to program the mechanics when you consider that the bottom turret cannot do the same because it is recessed into the back. So maybe that's how they're balancing that, is that they're unable to program both turrets independently of one another. But I don't know. Wargaming, you tell me. I would like it if I could fire that gun in the forward hemisphere as per historical truths or historical accuracies. But yeah, this is just a beautiful looking plane. I really enjoyed it. I've wanted it since I saw it in the game, and fortunately I stumbled into some gold as a birthday gift, and I decided that I was going to go ahead and purchase the airframe. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This aircraft might not be for all of you. The bomb load is a little bit lackluster, but it is kind of a jack of all trade, master of none platform, and for me is more the historical significance of the airframe itself. As always, like, favorite, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you liked and what you didn't like, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.